Welcome everybody. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about how you can combine different styles into your paintings. For me, I love to combine Impressionism, Expressionism, and a little bit of abstraction into most of my portrait paintings. It's something I've slowly developed over the course of a lot of years, and this painting is a great demonstration of how you can do that with very basic colors using a very straightforward color palette. It's a bit cooler in the highlights, it gets a little bit warmer in the shadows, and I don't really deviate from that. It's mostly a drawing exercise towards the very beginning when I'm working on the mouth and the nose. That's where I'm doing my impressionist style of painting, but I know towards the later half of this painting, I'm going to have some fun with some expressionism by doing a lot of big brush strokes and then adding some abstraction as well. So it's the expressionism and the abstraction kind of overlap in a way, but all three things are present in this painting, and I think that's what creates a unique painting. So if you're stuck doing just very straightforward impressionist style paintings and you want to maybe change it up, leave a few things out, maybe abstract a few things, add some extra brush strokes. There are a lot of different ways to combine different styles into your portrait painting practice. As far as how you approach doing this, there are many different ways. You can start with either Impressionism, Expressionism, abstraction. All of these things can be done in different orders. This painting in particular, I am working on it as if the whole thing's going to be in an impressionist style, but you could start your painting with a lot of big brush strokes to just fill up the canvas or panel, and after that you could start jumping into the actual drawing process, creating those impressionist portions of the painting. It's really a matter of just exploring and seeing what's possible with your current abilities. But if there's a specific style that you just love from another artist, say there's a few artists that you are looking at really close, you just want to find a way to take some of those ideas and implement them into your work, that is a great starting point to create this unique style of your own. And as that happens, you're going to realize that your style doesn't look like anybody else's, and you'll have that unique voice that everybody should be searching for. Now that this painting is fairly locked in as far as where the nose and mouth are located, I start to play around a little bit with those impressionist brush strokes. I start wiping away some of the paint as I go and just exploring, seeing what I can possibly do with this limited palette of colors. And I start throwing some bigger brush strokes up over the eyes, knowing that I don't plan on putting any detail into those eyes. That's where the abstraction is going to happen. That's where the expressionist brush strokes are going to happen. That is where the fun is going to be for this painting. I like to go from that very refined impressionist style where you have to kind of hunker down and really put your full focus into it, and then just free up and let the expressionist ideas come out. And that's where you get that fun play of all these different styles creating a unique story. I've had people ask me, how do you decide what's going to be more realistic, what's going to be more abstracted or expressionistic? And it's really one of those things where I'm not really sure where that idea comes from. It's almost like my brain's turned off and I'm just letting it happen. I'm just painting and going with whatever sort of natural instincts I have. And every artist has these different natural instincts that you really can't teach. And that's where you have to really start paying attention to what you want as an artist. And as you fumble through some ideas that maybe don't work, your natural tendencies will start coming out, and you just have to really pay attention to those ideas that you naturally gravitate towards. And eventually you'll get to a point where you're not really thinking as much about certain parts of the painting process, and that's the fun of just letting yourself evolve and become a better painter over time. finally, at this part of the painting process, I'm really starting to have a lot more fun with those larger brush strokes. I've broken out a wider paintbrush, and I'm really just trying to play around to see what kind of bold brush work I can throw into this painting so that I get that balance of all of these different styles that I've been talking about. If there were a few tips that I think would really help any artist that's getting started, it's first to make sure that you have a good handful of different brush sizes that you're going to work with. If you're going to work in an area that's got a lot more detail, you'll definitely want to have some smaller brushes. For me, I use a lot of long, flat brushes from Trekell. And it really doesn't matter. Don't worry about the brand so much. Just try to find the brush that really gives the marks that you like, but feel free to try all the different types of brushes, whether it's flat brushes like I'm using here, filberts, brights, whatever they might be. Just go out and buy a few different brushes. Make sure you have a lot of different sizes, but then get a couple palette knives, get a couple other tools that maybe you wouldn't naturally consider as a part of your toolbox when it comes to applying paint, but just slowly start adding more and more tools, and you'll eventually have all these different tools that will create these very interesting, unique, abstract moments and expressionist brush strokes or palette knife strokes. And that's when those complex textures find their way onto your painting. As you can see with this painting now, I've completely filled in the lower 2/3 with that deep black color, and that allowed me to play on that kind of like a background landscape horizon line, and that allowed to connect the expressionist brushstrokes and the impressionism into one painting. And it doesn't always happen this way where I decide to fill it in like that, but for this one, because I was trying to keep my mind open and allow for something new to happen, this is what I came up with. Is every painting gonna end up like this? No, of course not, but you have to allow for new things to happen, and that is the key to allowing your style to grow. And that's about it for this painting. It's essentially done. There's just a little bit left. I'm sure I'm just doing some last final brush strokes and some details here and there just to be fully satisfied with how it looks. But if you do want to learn a little bit more about my process and get really down into the details, I have a lot of Patreon tutorial videos through my account, the link's below. But thank you again so much for watching my videos, and I will talk to you again very soon.